I just finished recording this podcast with Heather, and it was so fun because it was just a conversation between two people. We had the best time. But I'm here to tell you there is a part where we froze. And so stick around. I promise you, we'll be back. So don't fret. We're still there. See you there. Welcome to my podcast. Today's dream, tomorrow's reality. My name is Vickie Poole. I'm a master transformational coach and hypnotist specializing in habit change. And this podcast is sponsored by the Enlightened Peach. And it's all about embracing our mosaic life. Some of you may ask, what is a mosaic life anyway? Well, it is recognizing that all the pieces of our life, the good, the bad, the indifferent, have all come together to make us who we are. Change any one thing, and we are different. With that in mind, I invite you to embrace your perceived imperfections and celebrate who you are. This podcast is unedited and raw, just like life. And I am your host, and I have a special guest that I will introduce in just a moment. But before I do, I would love to ask you to do me a solid and let us leave a comment, maybe ask a question of our guest. And remember to like, subscribe, and share. So now, let's get started. So this lovely lady right here is Heather. And do you say is it Woodcock?
No, it's Wydock.
Wydock. Okay. All right. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
So Heather Wydock, and we don't really know each other. We just have a mutual person that we know. And Laura had been on my podcast and has done some workshops with me and all kinds of things. And I consider her a great friend now. And she told you about the podcast. And so here we are. So if you don't mind, just share just a little touch about who you are, and then we'll kind of get started getting to know each other.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Laura's great. She's, like you said, introduced me to this. And I met her because when I moved here to New York, which was not that long ago from Georgia, actually, I,
Georgia girl here.
yeah, I know. um, I just moved here in February and I decided that I was going to, instead of finding a job with a company, I was going to work for myself and kind of spent the first couple months really putting myself out there. Um, and that's how I got introduced to Laura. So the last several months have been kind of chaotic and interesting and enlightening and really fun. But obviously, stressful and crazy and questioning what I'm doing
Mm.
on a daily basis. But I've been lucky enough to meet people like Laura and a lot of other people who have promoted me, hired me, and have kind of pushed my boundaries a little bit to be more out there and proud of myself for those certain things.
Wonderful. Well, we all need to stretch our boundaries all the time. And so when one of the things that I love talking to people about is how if you're in the right room, you're always stretching your boundaries. If
Yeah.
you're not stretching your boundaries, you need to find a new room because you've got to be with people that help pull you and let you see how amazing you are. And so that's pretty cool that you did that really quick. So really quick, what led you to leave Georgia and go to New York? Was there something in particular that happened to do that?
Yes. So full disclosure and transparency, a pretty rotten breakup did that.
Ah,
Originally going to stay because I had just found a job that I really adored and I liked my company and what I was doing. And I really was about to sign a lease on an apartment in Marietta when an apartment came up here, which was near my aunt who's like my person. Um, and I, on a whim, just said, you know what? I'm just going to leave Atlanta and move to New York. And I don't know what I'm going to do with my life, but I'm going to figure it out. So,
wow,
yeah,
nice.
it was really tough. The person I was with, we were together for about 5 years. We had pets together, so we split those up. I think that was a lot harder than
Yeah.
itself. But that was the reason. And I
Okay. Okay.
yeah.
Well, that takes a lot of guts. And I will say I have an adult daughter and she's moved away a few times. The first time she moved away, I don't know, was she just 18, 19? I don't remember. But she told me one day, she said, I'm thinking I might move to Denver.
That's what
And
I did.
I said, really? And she said, yeah. And I said, when? She said, I think next week. What? So she worked for Lowe's at the time. So she transferred to a Lowe's and she actually stayed in an Airbnb for the first few weeks. And then she found two girls that she roomed with. She found them on Craigslist and it ended up being a good thing. And it was like bizarre. She moved to Denver twice. She's moved to Hawaii. She's been in Portland. And I told her one day, I said, you can always visit these places. You don't always have to move. She said something about it. I just feel the need to move. So you moved to Denver as well?
Yeah, so, when I was 25, I moved to Denver, and I lived
Okay.
there for 8 years before I moved to Georgia. So
Okay. So where are you
I
originally
I
from?
under originally, I grew up in Virginia,
Okay.
Charlottesville, but I was born in Jersey, and I actually lived in the Hudson Valley once for a year when I was, 18. So,
Okay. Yeah.
came back to a place that made me feel happy.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I know when my daughter decided to move the first time, I was just blown away because she didn't know a soul,
Yeah.
nobody, when she packed up and she moved. And I had lived in the same area my entire life, other than, going to college or when I was in elementary school, we moved to Florida for a while and then we came back, but other than that, I'd lived in the same general 50-mile radius, and it's like to just pick up and move. Oh, that's some gutsy stuff. It's mind-blowing to me. So kudos to you for doing that and actually finding people like Laura to associate with and to collaborate with and everything. So when you decided to move there, and you had this idea of what you were going to do as far as a profession, what was it that you wanted to do?
When I moved to Colorado?
No, when you moved to New York.
Oh, well, I'm in marketing and communications.
Okay.
I also do a lot of event planning. I love that. I love events and I love putting on events and parties and anything. So, but I ended up now I'm doing so much in like social media and graphic design and website that it's been kind of unexpected. And I've taught myself so much over the past 5 years before moving to New York.
Mm-hmm.
This is like a fully self-taught experience. Before
Nice.
that, I was in sales, so
Okay.
very different,
So
very
were
different.
you always interested in like the marketing side of things and doing the websites and that kind of stuff? You were interested, you just didn't do it?
Yeah, it was not. I did it here and there, and it wasn't so much of the website. It was more like I loved the events, I loved planning things, and I loved making something pretty and beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really got attached to wanting to be creative and design things myself.
Okay.
Um, that's kind of, and then I started doing that part time by myself and like learning. And then I started getting positions in marketing, and that really helped me a lot. Yeah.
All right. Well,
Kind
remind me before
of-
we leave this evening. There's a group that I'd like to introduce you to because I bet you would really like this group. So
Okay.
remind me, and we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. It's an amazing collaboration group, so it's
Oh, I love
beautiful.
that.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah.
So when you met Laura, were you doing the improv as well?
No, so well, I got hired by the improv team to
Okay.
do some photography with them.
So
And
you're a
that's how
photographer too?
Not professionally by any means, not
Okay.
professionally.
All right.
But
Well, that's all relative, right?
yeah. Um, but when I met, so Laura knew about me through them, and she
Okay.
contacted me, and we just actually did a full rebrand for her. So
Ooh.
we
I
did a
have
logo.
noticed her videos and stuff are just a touch different.
We haven't launched her website yet. We just finished the website design.
Okay.
And did a full rebrand, like her logo, everything. So that
Oh,
was
how exciting that is. I'm gonna have to check that out.
yeah, it's gonna be. She's gonna launch it probably in the next couple months. I'm hoping because I want to see it out there too. I worked on it, so it's like it was fun to work with her on something that creative,
Yeah,
and it was fun to have the perspective of Laura, who is just an overwhelmingly creative person, but also just good and bright and
fun. She's fun.
fun. Yeah, so
Yeah.
so fun to work with. She made
Yeah.
it so nice and easy and collaborative. Like this was her brand, but I felt like I could just talk to her honestly about it and tell her things that I really felt. And she would listen and we would just all work together. And it's really nice. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. I look forward to seeing all about that. I probably at some point should do something like that for myself because mine's been the same for quite a while.
Yes.
And and I have morphed in a lot of different ways when it comes to my Facebook groups and things like that. But as far as my actual brand, I haven't changed it in quite a few years. So it's, my business is called the Enlightened Peach.
Yes.
And so I did have someone create my logo for me. But in the beginning, I was before that, my company was called Life Transformed Coaching.
Okay.
And when my daughter, who does all the traveling and
Yes.
everything, she was teaching,
The moving.
yeah, she was going to school to be a yoga teacher. And we were talking about collaborating and doing something together.
Oh, fun.
And so, I do the coaching and the hypnosis. So then I worked a lot at that time with people that were trying to reduce weight and change their body image and everything. And so she said, well, I could do the yoga and I could do all this. And so when we were thinking about doing something together, I said, well, I feel like it needs to have a different name. And so
Yeah.
we're both Georgia Peaches. We both have the where's it? What the sign on our hand,
Yeah.
and it was like, I think maybe Enlightened Peach would be a good name. She said, "Ooh, yeah, I love it." So we collaborated, we became the Enlightened Peach, but then she ended up, as she was doing her traveling and everything, moving in a different direction. So it's just me, but I love the name. I love all that stuff, but that's how it came up. Um,
Perfect. It makes sense.
yeah, yeah. So
Makes
when you
total sense.
work with someone, do you typically like take them from the ideation of what it is that they're wanting to do, and then you kind of help them design stuff around that, or do you get a sense from them of who, because I've had some people that would say, okay, who's your target audience?
Yeah.
Here's who's your avatar, give me all the stuff, and then they want to go from there. So how do you do that kind of thing?
Well, everyone's really different, and I get hired for very different things, so
Mm-hmm.
it's never the same. But with Laura, for example, she really knew what she wanted, an idea. She gave me um, pictures and the ideation really came from her. And then it was kind of interesting because what we thought was going to be that same direction that she started with completely went somewhere different because then all of us were getting creative together and thinking about different things about her brand and who she is. And she allowed me to really kind of let my creative freedom go and try new things with her that she ended up really liking and adapting to for her new brand. Um, so I guess the response is it really depends on the person, but it's much easier and nicer to work with people who are open-minded, like
Yeah.
Laura. Some people are very firm with what they want their brand to be and how it's represented. And that's also fine with me. It's like that's yours. And
That's your baby. It's okay.
yeah, but when we get to be creative like that and draw it out of each other, that really makes a difference.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So I want to kind of drive back a little bit. I know you moved to Denver when you were, what did you say, 19,
25.
25? I was thinking of my daughter. All
Yeah,
right,
that's okay.
25, 25.
Yeah.
So, and you, before that, did you
Mhm.
have anything like big that happened that caused you to have this explorer spirit?
Ugh,
Well, let me say, for
yeah,
instance, my daughter, I know why she has the explorer spirit. Her father passed away when she was 7.
yeah,
And so she has a lot of angst around that with certain things that happen in life. And then she goes through something, and that's when she starts wanting to, let me move to this different place and let me experience life in this way. And then she
yeah.
comes back for a little while, and then she does it again. And I really feel like a lot of it comes from that uncertainty that she experienced when she was 7 years old when her father passed away.
I would say that I don't want to go back home, and I didn't. Once I branched and moved and experienced that kind of freedom, I never wanted to go back home, and I never wanted that life again. So we grew up very, very poor. Um, I'm talking trailer park, brother who's disabled in a wheelchair, like just the pits. And I never ever my whole goal with life was never ever to live like that or feel like that again. I never wanted to feel like I couldn't have anything that I wanted, that I couldn't even have a nice pair of jeans or a decent meal, like anything that wasn't just a hot dog or hamburger helper. So instead of the traditional route of going to school right away, I worked. I wanted to make money. I wanted to not live like that. Um, and then just moving became a part of that, and meeting people and having people come and go in my life, which there was a lot of that. So loss,
Mm-hmm.
not just death, but that, but losing people and relationships and friendships, and that all adds to the spirit of I don't know, running away a little bit to try something new, to get out of something that you may feel is toxic or holding you back or not giving you the feelings that you once had for it. My feelings for Denver changed, and I needed to leave, and the same thing happened with Georgia. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't be there anymore. I couldn't be in those places. Um, and so I don't know, maybe your daughter has like feels that way too, but
Yeah.
sometimes it just gets too much, and you kind of have to escape to get your life flowing again to where you thought it was going.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you feel like you're on the right path now?
Now, yes.
Okay.
And I felt that way before. And
Yeah.
then something happens to set it back. And I'm really wanting to just keep the trajectory moving forward, instead of the rockiness that it has been in the past. I'm like kind of really over that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
building this part of me that, I'm taking care of my mental health. I'm taking care of my pets. I'm taking care of my physical health by eating well and exercising. And I mess up. I make mistakes. I still get hurt by people who I don't feel give me, the right feelings or the validation I need, because I'm still seeking that. And
Yeah.
but I mean, I think we're always still growing up. No matter how old you get, you're still growing up and you're still learning something and changing something about yourself, because you keep experiencing different things and trials and tribulations, or great things that
Yeah.
also add to that.
Yeah. Well,
If
I
any
am.
of that makes sense.
Yes, it makes sense. But however, I am a transformational coach and a hypnotist, and I help people with this all the time.
Yeah,
So if you ever feel like you want to just reach out and have a conversation and us talk about some of the things that you're feeling and whether they're supporting you in life or not supporting you, and then we can figure out how to help you get to where that most of your thoughts and your feelings are supporting you. So
okay.
just wanted to say that
Love
because if you like where you are and you're kind of afraid that you might get this urge to move on and you really don't want to, you don't have to.
Yeah,
And so there are things that it may be that at some level you're running away from the commitments,
yeah.
and that, doesn't serve you in the long run. So just putting that out there.
No, I agree with you. I don't want that anymore. I want to ground myself, and I love being this close to my close family. I'm not close to any of my family. The people I've met along the way are my friends, and they've turned into my family.
Hmm.
Dear God, I would not be here without them. They are lifesavers. They are all incredible people, and they've helped me. But I do have my aunt, and I can't imagine not living near her now.
Yeah.
I I have this like great support. And of course there are days that are still really, really hard. Um, but no, I don't want to run away from it. It's I am pushing myself really hard to build something out here that I am proud of.
So it's time to be proud of what you've already done and who you are right this minute, regardless of what is
Yeah,
showing up right now.
yeah,
Yeah, that's important
I
because
know.
we can't, like, if we're looking for, I want to make sure I do these things because then I'll be happy. You
Yeah,
have to get happy first,
no,
and
yeah.
those things come. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'll get off my soapbox.
No, your soapbox is great.
So do you have siblings?
I do.
Well, you
I
did say about a brother, right?
Yeah, I have a younger brother. Yes.
Okay.
He's 3 years younger than me. He's got cerebral palsy and Dandy Walker syndrome, and I don't really talk to him anymore.
Okay.
I don't talk to him or my mother or my stepfather. And my dad passed away in 2011. So yeah, it's kind of my aunt and my friends.
All right. Well, you
Yeah.
got good connections regardless, right? It doesn't matter to me. You know, it's good if you have blood relations that you're close to, but if you don't, it's choosing who you want to be
Correct.
close to. That's the thing, right? And I think that's where some people get kind of messed up, is because they think just because somebody's a blood relation that they're supposed to like them and
Yeah.
they're supposed to get along with them, and they
Right.
will, like, to me, one of the most horrible things is people that don't even like each other all coming together for some holiday. Everything gets escalated, everything gets terrible, everybody's miserable, then they go home and say, well, wasn't that a great Thanksgiving? It's like, I don't get that.
Was it? Was
But
it?
yeah,
Yeah.
but it's beautiful when you can not worry about that and
Yeah.
then find these beautiful relations that you can get. And that's one of the things that I love about being able to do things online like this is I've got some
Yeah.
friends that I've never met in person, but I feel like they are my family. And
Okay.
I'm going to be going to California, San Diego at the end of this month, and I'll be meeting quite a few people that I've been in a group with and one of my mentors, and I'll be meeting them all for the first time. but it'll be good. It'll be
That's
good.
so good.
I'm
No,
excited. I'm
that's
excited.
wonderful.
And then I've got a friend that she and I have been Facebook buddies, and we've been Zoom buddies. We talk on the phone and everything for about 3 years now, a little over 3 years, and we're going to be meeting for the first time in September.
I love it.
And so I'm looking forward to those two adventures.
Yeah.
And then I'm thinking, okay, there are so many other people that I have become really good friends with, like Laura, for instance, you know.
Laura, exactly.
And so I would love to go meet her in person. And then I have a friend that is actually in Orlando, and
Mhm.
we've been chatting with each other and supporting each other. She just had a baby. It's been right at a year now, and I still haven't met her. And so I'm dying to go to Orlando and see her. So I'm really feeling like I got this stuff's got to work so I have enough money to be going to all these places, right?
For sure. Yes.
I'm not
That's
moving there. I'm just going to
don't move,
the,
don't move. You don't need
yeah,
to move.
yeah,
Georgia's still great.
yeah. And all of my family's here. And luckily I do get along well with my family, but they're all
Great.
here. Well, there are some of them in other states, but the majority of them are all here within an hour's, 15 minutes to an hour for most
Yeah,
of them. So it's
good,
pretty cool for me.
good.
So let me think here. So as you're there's a lot of angst that you got there with some of your family and everything. Is there anything that's coming up that you would want to share, or do you feel like all of that stuff is kind of let's don't even consider that?
I don't mind sharing anything. I really don't
Okay.
mind. Just depends
Okay.
on
Well,
what it
I'm
is.
just
Yeah.
curious. You know how
No,
it is.
I don't mind sharing.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
your brother's 3 years younger than you, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm assuming he was born with these disabilities.
He was.
Okay.
But I don't if I recall, my parents didn't know until maybe he was about a year old.
Okay.
He wasn't developing, walking, talking. But he's come a significantly long way
Mm-hmm.
compared to what I guess they thought. I don't think they ever I think they never thought he'd be able to talk, and he talks.
Okay.
Um, so his in terms of seeing, someone with cerebral palsy, there's so many different scales. He's not the worst, he's not the best, but, he's still alive, he's here, and he's functioning, which is
Yeah.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but you don't get along, or is it that you don't
It's
get
not
along with your stepdad?
No, 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 no,
Oh,
love
okay.
my stepdad.
Okay.
I love my mom. I love my brother. I love everyone in my family. We
It's just a
just
circumstance.
there's a circumstance, and it's mostly with my mother. But it's hard to with my brother, we just don't have, I helped take care of him growing up. So forever I was like very resentful
Mm,
and
I feel
kind
you.
of yeah, gotten over that a little bit, but we just don't really have anything to talk about, and there's no real desire to like call each other or have that connection. um I still check in with my stepdad just to make sure like they're okay. I worry about them. I want them to be good and happy and healthy and fine, and we tell each other we love each other. And I talk to his mother, so my grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
um she I stay in touch with her. I stay in touch with obviously my mom. Well, my aunt is my mom's sister, but she has another sister that lives in New Jersey, and I actually have been able to get to hang out with them more because
You're
of
out there
moving
now.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't seen them in years, and really we kind of just corresponded on Facebook a lot. But it's nice now I can build and maintain that relationship that I had with them when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, with my brother, it's just there's just nothing to say to each other. I don't know. That sounds harsh, but I don't
No,
know. I don't know
sounds
what that
human. It sounds
Yeah,
human.
we really
You
do.
know,
We don't have a connection.
Yeah,
We
well, I would assume since you said he's talking and all that stuff, but he's still at an intellectual level that's very different from yours, right?
correct. Yeah.
So it makes it really hard to communicate and carry on a conversation. And let's face it,
Yeah.
without being able to communicate with someone on the same kind of level, you're just kind of like, let's color,
Yeah.
it's, yeah, it's, there's not a lot of give and take, and you have to have the give and take for it to be a good
For
communication.
sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
And
Yeah.
and I feel you on the resentment part. Now, I didn't have a disabled brother, but I
Mhm.
had a brother and sister. My sister was 9 years younger than me. My brother was 11 years younger than me. And
Mhm.
so my parents worked full time.
Yeah.
And so the brunt of taking care of them, especially during the summer when I wasn't in school or after school, and then on the weekends and everything, it was my responsibility because my parents
Yeah.
worked on the weekends. So sometimes I resented them so bad, and it wasn't their fault,
Yeah.
but I resented them because I wanted to go to Six Flags with my friends on a Saturday afternoon instead of taking care of my brother and sister. I wanted to
Right.
go to these sleepovers. I wanted to be able to just hang out with my friends and go and do things instead of saying, "Well, I can't. I have to get my brother and sister from home from school, and I have to." So it was very different from what my other friends had. My other friends didn't have any responsibilities, and I had a lot. And
Yeah.
so it's not the same thing. I know you had a lot more responsibility. I am definitely sure. Um, but it feels like it's a similar thing in that I did resent them for taking me away from this childhood life that I thought I
Abs-
wanted that all my friends had.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing is that you didn't and I didn't get to really have like the authentic childhood and the one that you kind of mostly see. And that's okay. Everyone's different. And I have great memories because my mother would bring me up to New Jersey and kind of just like drop me off there with family and
That's nice.
I'd come back home later. So I have those memories and those
Yeah.
were the better times when
So
I
what's
got
your favorite memory from that time?
oh,
Ooh,
uh,
big question.
as silly as it is, um, we were all really into sports, and we would play badminton outside, and it's just my aunts and uncles, they were all very silly back then,
Mm-hmm.
so it was really easy to, like, play and laugh and kind of have fun and make fun of each other, like, we are constantly making fun of each other. That's the family dynamic is to laugh at each other, um and then, of course, I got to have adventures that I didn't think I'd ever be able to have. So, like, whitewater rafting and going to Six Flags and, parasailing and jet skiing. Like, I got to do all these things that I never thought I'd have that opportunity to. So I'm, like, very, very grateful and thankful for my aunts because, 1, they let me kick it at their house for the summers and took care of me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, bless your mom for taking you too.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, she'd either take me or I'd go on a train.
Ooh, a train.
Yeah, yeah,
How
Amtrak. Back
fun,
then,
fun, fun.
just pop on the train, and head on up to Jersey.
So you started being an adventurer very early.
Little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was it for adventuring. We didn't really travel much other than going to see family in Jersey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. But I never was on a train like that until I was way adult.
Yeah.
I didn't even fly on a plane until I got married and went on my honeymoon.
Yeah. I agree.
First time I was on a plane. Yeah.
I didn't fly until I was 26, I think. Yeah,
Yeah.
25, 26. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the
It's
first time.
it's amazing, right? Because
I know.
most now people do it when they're really babies,
I
and it's
know
like,
kids are
oh.
going all over the place. Wild.
I know, I know.
I didn't do that.
So, when you thought about coming on the podcast and you thought about sharing a little bit about your story, was there something in particular that was coming to your mind that you really wanted to share?
Um, no, it was more, of having the experience and figuring out the dynamic one between us. And of course, like, if my story is and my experience is remotely close to anyone else's or has some sort of, inspiration to someone, that's great. But more, I guess, wanting to, I don't know, just to say, like, life is hard. It's really hard for everyone. Life is very hard. Um, and finding people, like Laura and all these great friends that I've met along the way on these travels and different life experiences, truly make a difference in kind of how you're transforming,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and growing as a human.
Yeah. Yeah. That's important.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
how does that feel when you say growing as a human?
I don't think I'm ever gonna grow. Like, not I don't think I'm ever gonna stop growing.
Yeah,
Ugh,
well, you shouldn't. We all
no.
should keep growing, right? And it's
Yeah.
like I'll see people every now and then, and they may be a lot younger than me. It doesn't really matter, but they'll be doing something that's amazing. I'll say, I want to be you when I grow up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
because it's beautiful, and for me, it's like I'm always looking for the new thing. It's not the shiny object syndrome. It's more of always being aware that I can grow in a different way
Yeah,
and being open to whatever those possibilities are and getting into new groups and getting into new programs, having a different coach and really getting into these collaboration places where you grow in ways that you didn't even know you wanted to grow.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
I agree with you. It's very feeling based versus a thing, a goal that's,
Yeah.
I don't know, tangible. It's not really a tangible goal. It's a
Yeah.
feeling. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And somebody said something to me was it this morning, I think when I was talking to a client, and he was telling me that, when people have tangible goals, like I know he was talking about a man who had been in a military prison,
Okay.
and as a prisoner, he had no idea when he was going to get out. And I wish I could remember the man's name, but I do not. But he said that I think he had written a book or something, but his thoughts were, I don't know how this is going to happen. I know I'm going to be a free man at some point. And so he just kept that vision alive, right? And there
Yeah.
were other prisoners that said, by the 4th of July, I'm going to be free, or by January 1st, I'm going to be free. And then every time they would set this date or this is how it's going to happen, this is what's going to happen. Every
Yeah.
time they would say that, and then it didn't come, it deflated them a little bit more, and then they were deflated again. And so he was talking about how if we can just know that it's going to come, and it may not
Yeah.
look like we want it to or come at the time that we think it is, but to just be
Right.
open and free to let it transcend in the way that it needs to transcend, then
Right.
everything's golden. And
Yeah.
this is one of the things that I teach in my Facebook group. It's called Stand Up and Stand Out. And so I'd like to invite you to be a member if you would like. But the thing is that it's a huge community of women, and I say huge as a relative term. It depends on who you are. It's not that huge, but it's an amazing group. And I go live in there every single day, and I do affirmations and journal prompts,
Yeah.
and then there's lessons in the process, and it's just I love doing it. And one of the things that I'm always telling them is, no matter what our goal is, what we aspire to be, you know, we we think we know how things are going to happen, but they don't always happen that way. And so, like this morning, one of our things was the affirmation, if I'm remembering it right, was every breath I take is filled with possibilities.
Mm.
And so with that one, I said, and a possibility sometimes doesn't look like you found the dime on the ground or that somebody put money in your pocket, or it could be that you had a flat tire on the way to work and you were late and then something happened, but it
Yeah.
was something that was supposed to put you wherever it is you're supposed to be.
Right.
And so to just be aware that possibilities and all of these things don't really always look like possibilities. They look like
Yeah.
setbacks.
They
And
do.
when
Yeah,
when we can start seeing the things that we perceive as setbacks or mistakes or anything like that, and we can start looking at where's the lesson in this? What was I supposed to learn? And then that's when we can have a happier life because we're okay with whatever, right?
yeah, it's such a mindset shift too to get to that point of, stop the why is this happening to me? Like, and more, yeah, why well, wait, why is this happening to me? What can I learn from this? How can I grow from this?
Yeah.
Um, and it's it's hard to get there, but once you start training your brain a little bit, it's really helpful to say, okay, that bad experience led me here, and
Mm-hmm.
and I'm okay.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I am okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that I reference quite a lot, it's an old country song by Garth Brooks. Thank
Okay.
God for unanswered prayers. And so if you're not if you or the listeners are not country fans, I'm really not one anymore, but this one still gets me. But it's about a gentleman that is pining after this girlfriend and he's praying to God, let her love me, let all these things happen, but it doesn't happen.
Doesn't
But
happen. Yeah.
then later on, he ends up meeting the love of his life.
Yeah.
And without having that one have gone sour, he never would have been available for this one. So he says, thank God for unanswered prayers.
Yeah.
And so I love that because a lot of times we think this little thing that we want to do in this certain way is what's going to put us where we want to be when in actuality it might be the one thing that's keeping us from where we want to be. And so it's
Oh,
being
of course.
open, right, to just
Absolutely.
bring it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. And I
Yeah.
will admit, I'm not perfect by any doggone means. So there's times when something happens, it's like mind blown. I go down the rabbit hole and I dig a little bit to get a little deeper. And then I think, oh my gosh, what am I doing? And then I climb out of the rabbit hole and it's like, okay, let me think. What was this supposed to teach me? How am I supposed to be better because of this? And what this was for me and not to me. So what's the deal? And then
Right.
I start reframing, but I can go down a rabbit hole just like anybody.
Oh my God. Yes. Believe me, I can
I
dig
think
it myself.
Yeah, yeah. I think the trick is the
I
better
will
you
dig
get
it
at
all.
this, the less time you spend in the rabbit hole. You still get in
Correct.
there, you just don't keep digging it deeper.
You can't not. We're human. We're gonna
Yeah,
get hurt, and we're gonna feel pain, and we're gonna feel rejection and regret and all shame, all of those things. But you just have to kind of give yourself grace and
yeah. And permission to feel the feels.
yeah, that
Yeah,
too, which
yeah,
is
yeah. Because
so
sometimes if we're listening to way a lot of self-help stuff, some people, not all of them, but some
yeah,
people, make you feel like you're not supposed to feel the bad feelings at all. You're supposed to just hide them away. But one of the books that I really love is called Feelings Buried Alive Never Die.
yeah.
And it's because if you just keep pushing emotions down, they're going to rear their ugly head somewhere and you're just not
Oh,
going to be prepared for
absolutely,
it, you know?
absolutely,
And so it's
absolutely.
really cool when you can give yourself permission to just feel the angst and feel the anger, feel the upset. And I keep this thing right here, and I'll share it with you. You probably are aware of this, but it's the emotional scale.
I don't know that, but
You
I don't. I
don't?
don't think I ever want to look at that.
Okay. Well, it's really good.
I will.
Because one of the things is that sometimes people think that if they're feeling like, let's see, if they're feeling anger, that they're supposed to figure out a way to be happy, right?
Yeah.
But actually, on the emotional scale, the next one up from anger is discouragement. So if after you're angry, you feel discouraged, you're actually coming up the scale. You're not staying in
Mm,
anger. And
Right.
then you go to blame, worry, doubt, disappointment. So even if you're angry and then you're disappointed, you've actually come up on the emotional scale. So you're getting better.
Okay.
And it's recognizing, I love it because it sometimes is a visual for me when I'm experiencing something. Where am
Yeah.
I on this emotional scale? You
It's a
know,
visual perspective.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so I can understand that, okay, I want to be happy, but that's way too big a stretch. Let me see where I can find a spot in there that I can feel that,
Yeah.
and then I can feel happy.
Yeah.
And so I think, for me, I really love it. It's a valuable tool for me. And I offer it to a lot of my clients too, because
Yeah.
we sometimes we just expect that we're supposed to be happy 100% of the time.
Yeah.
And that,
Sure.
is unrealistic, but we can strive for that. But we can also, in the process, sometimes start making ourselves worse because we're condemning ourselves for where we are.
Oh, yeah. And
Yeah.
absolutely overthinking it and not realizing that it's okay to just also be content. You don't have to be ecstatically happy all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Just be existing.
Yeah, yeah. And one of my favorite things to do is go stand out in the yard and with bare feet and just kind of ground myself. Whatever I'm feeling at the moment, just ground myself into it so that I can feel it in my body completely and let it
Yeah.
go. Yeah.
Like, that's a good move.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So do you have a special tool or something that you use for you as you're dealing with all the different things and you're doing these moves and you're making big changes in your life, not just little changes? Is there something that
Um,
helps you?
I no problem crying. Love
Oh,
crying.
good, good. Yeah.
Crying is great. Sometimes I'll scream in the car as loud as I can. That helps.
Yeah.
Um, I hold my dog, like,
Uh,
really bear hug him,
yeah. What kind of
and
dog is
squeeze.
he?
He's a black mouth cur, which I'd never heard of. I think it's
I
a
still have,
shepherd
well,
mix.
I've just now heard of it. What is
There
it?
you go. Yeah, but I think it's, it's actually like a southern hunting dog.
Okay.
He's
So he's
very
kind of
attractive.
mid-sized then,
He's very handsome, and
of
he's a big
course.
boy. He's tall and skinny. Um, but yeah,
Kind of like a
he's
greyhound,
no, more
tall and
like
skinny like that.
no, not that tall and skinny. He's just
Okay.
kinda derpy and lanky and
Yeah. Coonhound
cute
kind of looking.
cute and handsome and yeah.
Of course. Well, he's yours. He's going to be
Yeah.
handsome.
Oh, no, he is. He gets stopped in the on the trail walks for being so handsome, so
Oh, nice, nice.
so I'll
It's
hold
nice to
him.
have a walking buddy.
Yes, a walking buddy, and definitely exercise is like if I sometimes when I'm feeling that overwhelming stress, it's I just go take a lap.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
a
I just had a
walk
guest.
around and makes a difference.
Yeah, I just had a guest in my group Wednesday. What is
Mhm.
today? Yeah, it was,
Friday. Yeah.
no, it was yesterday. It was
Oh,
Thursday.
nice.
Had to look at my calendar, but she bought, her and her husband bought some property in it's actually in Tennessee, I believe,
Mhm.
and it is 35 acres, and she's creating this resort, not resort, an event place. So I need to
Oh,
connect you
cool.
with her. Need to
Yeah,
connect you with
that
her.
sounds amazing.
But they're getting domes in for people to camp in the domes. And so she's about to start doing her thing is that she has a group called Entrepreneurs Gone Wild. So it's entrepreneurs, in order to get in their creative space, have to get out into the wild open spaces.
Love that.
And then it's Idle Wild Woods is her event space.
Okay.
And so she's created this really cool thing where she's starting to do these fireside chats where it's like a s'mores club. So you buy your little s'mores kit, you do it at your fireplace or on your tabletop, and then you join in with her on this adventure of her. She's in the woods. Like
Yeah.
yesterday when she was on the live with me, she was
Mm,
actually had a chair in the creek, and was sitting with her feet in the water, and there was a a fire going over here so they could do some s'mores. And her eventually she's going to have a lot of different animals, and she's going to have like these different cameras set up so people can remote view things. But
Oh,
it's just amazing. So I'll definitely have to connect you with her, because
please,
yeah,
please.
yeah. So that'll be really cool. But um, and it's interesting to me, she just one day, and thinking about your adventure stuff, she went somewhere, and she happened to see this area where they bought this property, and she came home and she told her husband, she said, I think I've decided that it would be a good idea to have this area for people to have events and things like that. And he said, what? And so they've been working on it. They've been living on the property since the early last year, I believe.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe they haven't even been there that long, because for a long time the property was there. They just weren't able to do anything with it. So now they actually live on the property. They're homesteading there. They're creating things as they're there. And I mean, it's amazing stuff, right?
So
Um,
cool.
and that to me took a hell of a lot of guts
Oh
to
my God,
just
absolutely.
get rid of everything and go there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
All on this,
So
all on this idea.
yeah,
That's
yeah. And
that's
so it's
accomplishing
magical.
itself. Yeah.
Yeah, it's magical when you can get around people that have this ability to just jump outside their comfort
It's
zones
true.
and just go for it, you know?
Yeah. I definitely appreciate the doers and the goers and the people who are courageous. They're very much inspiring for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Doesn't mean they're not scared. They're just jumping.
absolutely. No, they're scared, of course. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, we're all human. Nobody
yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah. Because, but it was so much fun to have her on in my community and sharing some of the stuff that she does. And then
Yeah.
it's pretty interesting that as I'm talking to you, that's when I want to share that with you too. So I
Yeah.
love how when you get together with someone, it's like other people come to mind. It's like, oh, let me share about her. Let me tell you about this. And that's
Yeah.
what's so great about, I think, this kind of platform, is because, a lot of people in the normal life are so
Mhm.
competitive that, well, they wouldn't dare dream of, well, I don't want to tell her about that person because then she might go do that. And then, but when you can get in with like-minded people like this,
Yeah.
man, it's just gorgeous to be able to share about different adventures and different people that you can talk to.
Yeah, you can do so much more together, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
it's so much more.
yeah.
It's a wonderful experience. On top of it, it's always great to, like, be surrounded by women who you can, follow in their footsteps a little bit, take guidance from them, or just be around them to give you a little creative boost or inspiration.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I absolutely agree. And sharing is great.
Yeah, definitely.
all my
Definitely.
all my friends would say, like, that's one of my good qualities, is to be able to share friends with other friends,
Ah,
like, connect
nice.
people and get people together,
Yeah.
because it's important.
That's right.
So
Well, that means you're not only an event planner, you're an event people planner, because you actually connect people and not just necessarily an event.
yeah, I definitely prefer to be in person around people. People
Yeah.
give me a lot of life.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
I agree. I agree. I will admit though, I don't do it quite as often as I used to,
yeah,
because you just get so busy. And then when you get so
yeah,
used to doing things where you don't have to get in traffic and you don't have to do that stuff, sometimes it feels like, "Ugh." But
yeah.
that's one of my things that I'm working on, is I'm
Well,
getting
this is why
out
these trips
more.
are gonna be perfect for you,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
you're gonna be getting out and actually having these face to face. And I don't know, when you're with someone and, like, in there, you have feelings with each other, there's
yeah,
some, it's different in person than it is online.
yeah,
And
it is.
online can connect you and get you close, like, having that face to face interaction is so important.
Yeah. Well, I kind of liken it to, I don't know if you've ever done any online dating. But I have. And I remember that there was several times that I met someone online and it's like the chemistry was there. This is great and everything. You meet them in person, it's like, oh, this does not compute. So I'm definitely being in person is really, really good. I don't know. Am I frozen for you? You're frozen for me all of a sudden. All
There we
right.
go.
Okay. So I don't know. Was I frozen? You were frozen on my
Oh,
end.
you were frozen from
Okay. All right. So
there.
we were just freezing good.
Yeah.
So
We were just in a little space. We had a little break.
yeah,
That's it.
no, it was like she said, what?
Yeah. Your online dating adventures and
Yes,
shenanigans.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. I've had a lot of them. I used to have clients that they got very disappointed when I finally decided I'm done with this because they lived for listening to these crazy stories that I would tell. All right, so we are getting close to end of time, and obviously we are having some network difficulties because, let's see, we are frozen again. All right, let's give it a second. Let's see if we can get this back. Oh, that was weird.
That was so weird. It made me host. I was like, "Okay, I'll be the enlightened peach until she comes back."
I don't know what happened. It was so bizarre. It was like, okay, we're starting over. My goodness. All right. So we are close to time. It's been such a pleasure having you here. And I can't wait to see what adventures you come up with from here on out. Now, I will, just for everybody that's watching or listening, when I publish this, I will have it in the description, the different ways that you can connect with Heather, the different ways that you can connect with me. And just definitely, do us a solid and like, subscribe, and share, and then reach out to Heather. And maybe she would be perfect for helping you rebrand or just to have a conversation with, because this was fun. I love getting to know you and I'd like to know you better. Maybe we could do this again. And so
It's been
is
great.
there anything you would like to say at the end that maybe you wanted to say that I haven't asked the question about or anything like that?
No, just thank you. This has been really nice, and you're such a pleasure to meet, and I hope to come back and hope to work with you a little bit more.
Oh, yeah, that would be beautiful. Thank you, Heather. And so
Yeah.
I will leave everybody with one of my favorite quotes. And I hate to admit it, but I still don't know who exactly said this because a lot of people have said so and so said it, but I'll keep promising that I'm going to research it, but I haven't done it yet. So I'm just being completely honest with you. But it is the best way to predict the future is create it.
Oh, yeah.
And I love that because we can be the creators of our own life if we choose to. And with that, I would like to say farewell to everyone, and I'll see you next time.
Bye.